Okay, so if you've been scrolling through any kind of travel feed lately, you've probably seen them. These futuristic looking bubbles that are just popping up in the middle of deserts, forests, and mountains. So, what's the deal with the sudden explosion of the geodesic dome? Well, it turns out it's not just some design trend. It's actually a story about physics, efficiency, and a multi-billion-dollar shift in how we travel.
Yeah, what you're looking at right here, this is basically the next evolution of vacation. These are not just fancy tents, they are right at the heart of this massive movement called glamping. Glamorous camping. And really, understanding this movement is the key to understanding why the dome is taking over. So, before we can really dive into the dome itself, we have to talk about the market that it is absolutely conquering: glamping. And trust me, it is way, way bigger than you might think. I mean, we are talking about a global market worth nearly $3.5 billion just this year alone. So yeah, this isn't some small niche trend anymore. It's a real heavyweight in the hospitality industry, perfectly blending that experience of being in nature with the luxury of a nice hotel. So who's behind all this? Who's driving this boom? Well, it's the 18 to 32-year-olds, millennials and Gen Z. They make up the biggest piece of the pie. They're the ones looking for these unique, totally Instagram-worthy experiences that get them outdoors, but, without having to sacrifice comfort. And this thing is not slowing down. Not at all. The market is projected to grow at a blistering 10% every single year. That means there's a huge and still growing demand for new and exciting ways to experience the great outdoors. And that, right there, brings us to the star of our show, the geodesic dome. Why, out of all the possible structures you could build, is this specific shape suddenly showing up everywhere? Think about it. On one hand, you've got the traditional, simple, boxy cabin. It's easy to design, easy to build. On the other hand, you have this complex, almost alien-looking geometry. So why are developers and resort owners choosing the sphere over the square? What's going on? Well, the answer, as it turns out, has very little to do with how it looks, and pretty much everything to do with history, science, and some seriously impressive physics. So what exactly is a geodesic dome anyway? Well, at its very core, it's just the most efficient shape possible. It's a structure that gives you the absolute most interior space while using the least amount of material for the exterior. And that simple geometric fact has massive implications. And believe it or not, this is not a new idea. The very first dome was designed a whole century ago. But it was the visionary architect Buckminster Fuller who really made it famous, hoping it could solve housing crises. And he did such a good job that by 1979, the American Institute of Architects officially called it, and I quote, "the strongest, lightest, and most efficient means of enclosing space yet known to man." Wow. I mean, you really can't get a better endorsement than that.
But, okay, how much more efficient is it really? Let's get into the hard data. Researchers at the University of Alicante in Spain actually put the dome to the test in a head-to-head energy showdown against a traditional building.
Okay, just look at this direct comparison. For the exact same amount of floor space, the dome needs 23% less material for its exterior shell, it has 17% less air inside that you have to heat and cool, and the result? It needs 24% less energy for heating every single year. That's a huge built-in efficiency advantage right from the start. But the researchers didn't stop there. They started wondering, what would happen if instead of one big dome, we used two smaller, connected domes to separate the living and sleeping areas? And this, my friends, is where things get really, really impressive. Get this, by separating those spaces and optimizing how they're used, this double dome setup needed 52% less energy for cooling compared to a traditional building. 52%. I mean, in a world with rising energy costs and climate concerns, that number is an absolute game changer for the hospitality industry. So, let's recap. We have a booming market that's hungry for unique experiences, and we have a scientifically proven, hyper-efficient structure. Now, let's connect these two ideas to a real-world business case in a fantastic location, Durango, Colorado. So why Durango? Well, for 2 years in a row, it was ranked the #1 most loved destination in all of Colorado. And that's based on real traveler reviews. That's exactly the kind of buzz you want if you're starting a new hospitality venture. And people are spending money there, a lot of it. Direct travel spending in Durango's county jumped almost 8% in just 1 year, hitting nearly $500 million.
This is a healthy, growing tourism economy, just waiting for the next big thing.
So what does this all really mean? We've looked at the market, we've looked at the science, and we've seen a real opportunity. Let's just bring it all together with one final thought on what this could mean for the future.
See, at the end of the day, the geodesic dome isn't just some quirky trend for glamping. It's a reminder that sometimes the most elegant solutions are literally built into the fabric of the universe through geometry. And it leaves us with a question: if a simple change in shape can make our vacation spots, and maybe even our homes, this much smarter and more sustainable, what other brilliant ideas are we overlooking, hiding in plain sight?